Good morning and welcome to the Salvation Army at Wickford and Stafford on this Sunday, the 29th of November. We're so pleased that you could spend some time with us this morning. As we face the week ahead, we have our Zoom Bible study tomorrow at 3 o'clock. If you would like the details about how to take part, please contact us. On Thursday, in the car park at Wickford, the town's food bank will take place at the usual times between 10 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. We hope you enjoy your time with us this morning. We're going to start with some music. Blessed Assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine.
Light the first candle to mark the first Sunday in Advent. The Bible reading from Matthew chapter 24, I'm starting to read at verse 36, and this is Jesus talking. He says, "No one knows about that day or hour, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. For in the days before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, up to the day Noah entered the ark. And they knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came and took them all away. That is how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. 2 men will be in the field, one will be taken and the other left. 2 women will be grinding with a hand mill, one will be taken and the other left. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know on what day your Lord will come. But understand this, if the owner of the house had known at what time of night the thief was coming, he would have kept watch and would not have let his house be broken into. So you also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him. I don't know if you've picked up on it, but the government has recently quietly reintroduced the slogan, "Be alert, save the NHS, save lives." I don't know what you think, but I think it's much better than hands, face and space. It gets down to the real root of the issue. How we react and behave around other people really does make a difference. So, are we alert and ready? One thing we don't need to be ready for at the moment is the unexpected visitor. No ensuring our houses are always spick and span, ready for that knock on the door that we didn't know about. Hopefully that doesn't mean we're not cleaning and tidying because we've forgotten how to. But as we are only too aware, nobody should be visiting us indoors unless we're part of a bubble with them. In what we now tend to call normal times, we've probably all had occasions when, with short notice, we've dashed round hiding clutter, mentally trying to work out if we have anything we can offer to eat for a guest whose arrival was not known about beforehand. That can be a real pleasure. I'm sure that many of us would agree with that at these times when it is not possible. We would love to invite family and friends freely into our homes or have them drop by without prior knowledge and preparation. Houses can be potentially tidied quickly if we need to, but a whole culture or life cannot. And this is what Matthew is talking about in these verses that contain part of the teaching of Jesus in the last few days of Holy Week. It is a warning. Keep watch, because you do not know on what day your Lord will come. These verses have been interpreted as a warning to be ready for the second coming or return of Jesus that is promised, for example, in Acts 1 verse 11, that says, "This same Jesus, who has been taken from you into heaven, will come back in the same way you have seen him go into heaven." In Matthew, it is clear that even Jesus didn't know when that would happen, just that one day it will. So it is important that we are ready for that time. When Jesus does return, will we be found to be his followers, actively living lives of obedience to his teaching and encouraging others to do the same? Alternatively, because none of us know when the end of our earthly life will be, others think that Jesus was talking here of our readiness for death, that again can take us completely unawares. However, when we put this teaching into its context of the first century, we may come to another third conclusion. A national crisis was about to overtake Jerusalem and its surroundings as the climax of the Roman-Judean war drew closer. This was an event that would devastate the lives of families and whole communities in a terrible and frightening way. At the same time as this came the royal appearing of Jesus himself, and these verses in Matthew, along with what goes before and after the ones we've shared together, indicate that this all was to culminate in the destruction of the temple and of Jerusalem, and that event occurred in AD 70. Although the signs of this would have been clear to those who made that observation due to the presence of Roman soldiers and rule in their country, it was an event that most would never have predicted. A bit like the flood in the days of Noah. People lived as normal, unaware of the disaster that was about to overtake them, until it was too late. We can see this happening all the time. When we lived in West Norfolk, we were only a few miles from the Welney Washes, a flood storage plain for the River Great Ouse that acts as flood prevention for King's Lynn and much of the surrounding area. The problem is that this plain is crossed by the A1101, a major route across that part of the country. For miles around, there are warning signs to tell motorists when the road is closed. However, the detour around is many miles in length, so there are always people who ignore the signs or don't even check them or blindly follow their sat-nav and as a result find themselves caught out, creating what the locals call a car graveyard. The cry is usually, "Nobody told us. We didn't know." That, Jesus says, is how it was in the days of Noah, and also how it will be when the Son of Man comes. The consequences of not being ready will be far more serious than having to abandon your car in the flood and wade out through cold water. Only those who live in readiness for the coming of Christ will hear his voice and have the opportunity to respond to him. Only those who live in readiness for his coming will be ready to hear his transforming message and apply it to their lives. As we begin this season of Advent, my prayer for each one of us is that we will live in that kind of readiness as we seek to listen to the voice of Jesus and live according to his word. If we've learned nothing else from the year 2020, we have learned that events can overtake us and change our lives beyond all recognition, not just locally, but on an international scale. This Christmas will be as no other Christmas that we have lived through. Just like the first Christmas. I am sure that if they'd known in advance who the baby to be born was, the owners of the stable would have pulled all the strings possible to prepare a suitable place for the King of Kings, Emmanuel, God with us, to be born. Had they been aware, they would have ensured that only the best was available. But they weren't. And so Jesus was born in a place where we wouldn't have dreamed of offering for a birthplace. There were others who were ready to hear the voice of God. Mary heard and responded to the voice of the angel. Joseph likewise was obedient to the call to not divorce Mary, but to take on the role of earthly father to the Son of God. The shepherds heard the songs of the angels. The wise men followed the star. All these people were ready and met the newborn Christ. It was an encounter that changed their lives. This year, we will doubtless be told by our government how we should prepare for Christmas in the light of COVID. Whatever the rules are, and at the time of recording, they're still unclear, it is important to keep them in order to protect lives. However, it is even more important that we use this time to prepare ourselves spiritually for the celebrations of the birth of Jesus. Yes, those celebrations will be different, in that there will be none of the carol services that we enjoy and no big gatherings allowed. But we can still ensure that we are ready to make room for Jesus in our lives in a whole new way, that we are listening to hear what God has to say to us. For us, Jesus is not an unexpected visitor. He is the one for whom we have this month to prepare as we watch and wait for him to be born again in our hearts once more. Verse 4 of one of our favourite carols includes the words, "We hear the Christmas angels, the great glad tidings tell. O come to us, abide with us, our Lord Emmanuel." May that be the prayer of our hearts this Advent.
Plug in.